Good cloud movements. Cloud. Good cloud movements. Very good cloud movements. They're good. Scary. Glad I'm not overthinking, you know. Just glad I'm at the right spot of life. Very good moment in this game. Of course, this guy's gonna go all BP. Very scary. Yep. BP is what I know as an idea of making an idea out of another idea. You know, just taking two ideas and making them together. It's the whole part of BP. Pyra and Mithra, you know. Female's anatomy. Star Fox Zero. Getting inside a female. Getting yourself inside a female. Yeah, that. But it goes kind of further with legs, holes, buttholes, all kinds of things. It goes a little bit further. You know, we have a show called Beavis and Butthead, right? But one of the things I've seen too that recently to me is like the problem. There's a lot of problems. The problem I have is when you have a choice, like just a common thing in 2024, right? Something happens in 2024. So maybe you have an interest in something. There's something you have an actual interest in, okay? And you love it. You may like it. There's reasons you like it, why you like it. But people don't make any idea. You know what I'm saying? YouTubers, they don't make any idea when they talk about Star Wars Outlaw. They don't make any good ideas. They don't make anything that would make you, right, say, you know, they just don't make it. They don't go out and they don't be like, hey, let's make this happen, you know, that kind of thing, right? They just don't do it. Curves. Side curves. Yep. But they don't do simple little things, okay? Secrets are crazy, yeah. Devil. But they don't do remotely anything. And it's due to being jealous how a game can be, you know, you can take a video game and you can make some flaws in the video game, but you can make a very, very good video game. You know what I'm saying? You can make an actual video game that's good. Another thing is you have the EA thing. Look at that up there. See that? After you pause, right up there. But that's what's crazy is it's mainly like people not thinking about, people want video games to be enjoyed and played. And you know what's funny is the game is funny. The game has some crazy moments and it's funny. It's Star Wars Outlaw. It's a good game. It's just a good video game, you know? It's one of those video games that are good. But it kind of like, you know, it just takes that to a person. I like this one down here too. See this stuff down here. Shin Megami Tensei 2. I want to get my head stepped on. I want to get my head stepped on, Uni. Oh, my head stepped on. Get my head. Gently step on her head while you're pounding her pussy. Just gently put your foot on her head. But the video games, the movies, the TV shows, You know, it would be one thing if that video game, okay, if that video game for some reason just had a moment and its moment was like it was not doing what it was supposed to do, right? 1, 2, 3. But the video game itself, like, I just like, there's a whole pool of video games that came out this year, 2024. But if there's a game you actually have that you can play, right? And it's a good video game, and it's fun, it's hilarious, it has good moments, and it's good enough, and it's a Star Wars game. That's it, man. That's it. If the game actually, put some effort and did something, there you go. Put in effort, right? Maps. Maps are good. 1, 2. But, the games, okay? I understand maybe there's some games you liked in 2024. I get that. Yet when it comes to you actually, wanting to review video games, because that's that's a career, it's like a path you want to have. You'd be surprised that sometimes, like, okay, people find ways to say that I can beat this game in this amount of time, right? Like the amount of time that they can beat that game in, right? And the reason they say that is that they're paranoid, mentally ill people. All you have on YouTube, I don't have to say their names, but you just have mentally ill people. You have actually mentally ill people. Fallen star right there. But I'll point to it again. It's a 1, 2, 1, 2. But you have to have. I like the elongated faces. See, 1, 2, 3. You have to have just a conclusion. You have to have to yourself, okay, this is a different kind of video game. There's a lot of video games, and it's kind of nice to have just a different kind of video game. But, this is what most people do half the time. Half the time they don't see what's going on. I think it's good to see through. I think the good parts are when people see through the stuff that matters, right? They start to see the stuff, rather than focusing on their opinions and trying to make their opinions the thing, right? The only reason that people try and do stuff like that is that certain ideas happen. Would would you argue that sometimes Disney does make stuff that just does not go smoothly? Yeah. But sometimes Disney actually ends up making something that's really amazing. They do that also. They kind of learn from their mistakes. The EA thing is hilarious, so I can get that. I can get the fact that EA sometimes makes content that you wish they never made. I do know about that subject, but this is not with the Star Wars game. You know what I'm saying? This is not with Star Wars. I'm very critical on one of these Final Fantasy games. Very critical on it, due to its gameplay elements are not good. But it's still a good game. It's still a good game. It still has good moments. But I'm a little controversial towards that Final Fantasy game, as it's more of just kind of like a walking, like you're walking around kind of game. And it's not gonna really gel you into the game as much. There's a Final Fantasy game like that, but that's how I feel. I feel like right now this Star Wars game right here, is doing some good moments in it, right? So there's some good moments being done in this Star Wars game, right? And I'm kind of like, well, the thing about it is there's different experiences, people. There's motion controls, there's different ways to play video games, right? But you kind of want to have a category. You want a category of different kind of games you can play, right? I think it's funny. Companies just learn. They learn, okay? Now, maybe you had a YouTuber that you liked that's on YouTube, and they made a video of the other Star Wars games, and you liked those videos, right? But the whole thing about making products and you got to make better products, right? That's the whole thing about people. They want to try and make money, right? And it was not to like when they made this Star Wars game that they were going to make this Star Wars game be like, I would know if it was average, if it was just like completely average. But this game, they decided to put some work into this Star Wars game. They decided that they'd have the maps be good. They had funny different ideas you could do. And, in a video game, it's always welcome if you could do different ideas, even if they're a little bit, like the enemy AI not doing what they're supposed to do. It's still a little welcome that you can go inside the game and you can do stuff like that. That's still a fun mechanic. So everybody that says who claims they like Skyrim, right? Because Skyrim's a good game, but yes, does Skyrim have flaws? Yeah, Skyrim has flaws. But it's a good game. It's a good game. But yes, yeah, there's some funny things you could do in Skyrim. I think if something about Star Wars is getting to you, if there's simple ideas that are getting to you from Star Wars, okay? I don't know what it would be. There's many different ideas you could have with Star Wars, right? But, you know what? There's video game development. Sometimes you have years and years and years where people don't put out video games. They don't put out a video game that's actually pretty entertaining. And, they don't. But maybe if you stood your ground and started to talk about stuff like that, that'd be good. Breaking down the actual analysis and the review of Star Wars Outlaw. Woo! Yeah, breaking everything that's going on. The only big problem I really saw with Outlaw is that they did an early access, which I don't approve of early access games. I don't approve of the early access video games. So if that's one of your reasons, but still, you gotta, if the game is doing a solid in some way, you need to talk about the game. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to praise it and be like, 10 out of 10, but you at least need to talk about the game and see if the game is doing the things it needs to do, right? And maybe you played Guardian of the Galaxy. Maybe you played that game, and now you're playing the Star Wars game. Maybe that's kind of like the approach that's going through your eyes, right? But I gotta say, there's a lot of fast traveling in Star Wars Outlaw, but you don't have to do fast traveling. So it's kind of like, you need to give me an actual breakdown in front of my face that says like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what you're saying. But if you're not doing that, well, I just don't care, man. I don't care.